Hello, this is Jeff again from DocuData. In this session, we will be taking a look at what is involved in hosting images in EDCRC and ActiveWeb, focusing on details that might be useful to the Record Center. Let's start by looking at the benefits to your customers. First, because ActiveWeb is browser-based, it allows your customers great accessibility, accessing their images through their computers, but also through their smartphones and tablets. ActiveWeb provides great security because customers have to provide a password to log in. Images are stored in an encrypted database, and communication is typically protected by SSL encryption. Customers also have the security of knowing that at the end of the retention period for a document, when the file is destroyed, the images will also be destroyed. ActiveWeb keeps an audit trail of who worked with or viewed which images and when. There are multiple options available for meeting your customers' needs. Images can be batch imported. They can be provided through imaging on demand of physical records that are at the Record Center, which are delivered as images to the customer, or the customer can even upload their own images directly through ActiveWeb. Finally, your customers benefit from amazing coherence in their records management. The files at the Record Center and the images are managed together, but if they have more extensive needs, they can also get additional modules from you for managing their active or in-house files and their electronic documents. Accessing the corresponding file record in ActiveWeb gives your customer access to all the formats that the file exists in. Your customers will log into ActiveWeb with a link that you provide. It is possible to include the account key in the link that you provide, making it unnecessary for the customer to type it in themselves. For the login name, the customer may use a defined login name, or they may also use the email address associated with their profile. By checking the Remember Me checkbox, the user can instruct their browser to remember their client key and login name for the next session. All that your customer would have to do on subsequent logins would be to click the link and enter their password. This brings you to ActiveWeb's homepage, which we will tour in more depth in a subsequent video tutorial. For now, we will just click on the Inventory tab in order to work with our inventory. The Inventory tab opens to the item most recently accessed by the user. Notice the icons indicating that this particular file already has one associated electronic document and 10 associated image pages. The user navigates to the file that they're interested in by running a search of their choice, then selecting their file from the search results. Notice how the presence of the image is once again indicated by an image icon. Clicking on the image icon will take us to the Images section of the file. The Images section contains several controls for working with images. Users specify which pages of the image they want to work with by selecting a named page range or document, or by typing in the numbers of the pages they wish to see. The named page ranges can be added at the Record Center, or the user can add them themselves using these buttons here to the right. These buttons here permit the user to view the image in different formats, or to send the image by email. Running OCR and index makes it possible to search for an individual image page using full-text search. Finally, these buttons here enable your users to add additional images to an existing file. Note that pressing the scan button will call up the scanner interface. However, it is generally preferable to scan the images first, save them on the computer, and then upload them. Clicking the Preview Images button causes the images to be displayed as thumbnails. This file does not presently have any named page ranges on its images, but we can add one easily enough by pressing on the green plus button. Enter the number of the first and last page of the range that we list to define, as well as a description, and then click Accept. Once we have defined these named page ranges, we can easily select that range of pages by selecting the corresponding name. Next, I will run OCR and index on a range of pages. Running full-text search for the term Introduction brings me directly to the first page of my document, which I've just indexed. Clicking the file icon above the image will bring me back to the file that contains the image. Next, let's take a look at the type of histories that EDC keeps. We see a detailed list of what happened, the date and time when it happened, and the user who did it. Next, let's see an image import. Click the image button to show the images section, then click the import images button. ActiveWeb will confirm that we wish to import the image which we have selected. Though we will not go into detail, we can see that this file also has an electronic document associated. Any sort of document can be uploaded as an electronic document in its native format. Note that PDF files and images can be uploaded in this way, but you will not have access to the imaging functionality. You will, however, have access to tools for managing documents that are expected to change, such as version control tools. These will be the subject of another session. Now let's take a look at steps related to batch importing images. Since images in EDC and ActiveWeb are always associated to files, we will start by auto-creating some pre-add files to work with. Images can be imported as a batch if the image name or the name of the folder that the images are contained in are named according to the file barcode. We will take a look at how to do this. If you want to image the contents of multiple files at once, you can use image separator pages to have your scanning software automatically break the resulting document up into documents that can be imported to individual files in EDC. Document separator pages help you to automatically create named page ranges. Next, we will look at actually importing the images individually through the file module and also in batch through the box and file maintenance module. For larger ongoing projects, you may choose to automate things by importing the images and the metadata from the command line. If you have used document separator pages with generic names, you can go in and rename the indexed ranges once the images have been imported. Images that have been imported and saved are considered permanent, so it is best to perform quality control before importing images. However, we will take a look at how to fix mistakes if necessary. To create a batch of new files to work with, auto-create them in the box and file maintenance module in the usual way. From the File menu, select Auto-create pre-add files and Thermal. Type or select the customer key. Enter the number of files that you wish to create. Note the starting range, which is automatically populated and will typically match the RC number of the first file that will be created if you use automatic file number. Note the starting range, which is automatically Note the start sequence, which should match the RC number of the file if you use automatic file number. And for the number of labels to print for each file, feel free to enter 0 if you do not actually wish to print the labels. In the File module, you may wish to look for the highest RC number file for the account that you just created these labels for. This will typically be the last file that you created. This is an example of a generic file label. To prepare images to import, we will name them according to the file barcode. The first segment of the file barcode consists of the number 2 followed by a letter. We can ignore the letter and leave it out of the file name. The 2 will always be the same for files. The middle segment is the customer's system number. This will always be the same for a given account. The final segment is known as the file's RC number. This makes the barcode unique and increases by 1 with each file that is added to the system. When you auto-create a batch of pre-add files, you will create a consecutive range of RC numbers. This is true as long as other people are not adding files to the account at the same time. Therefore, if we wanted to save an image to be imported to this file, we would save it as 2 space 24124 space 270.pdf. Note that it is only the last segment that would change from one image to the next. Batch scanning software allows you to save files with names that follow rules. In this case, we would set 2 space 24124 space as a constant portion, and then we would set the last portion as a number which automatically increments. We would seed this with the number 270, in which case it would scan each subsequent image in a way that could be imported to a range of pre-ed files that we have created. The document separator pages that are used for creating named page ranges are printed through the System Information module. Go to Edit Document Separator Pages. Here is the list of document separator pages that we can currently print. Note that there are two ways of doing this. You can either create sections with the desired name, or you can use generic names, and then either you or the customer can rename the page range after you go into the image. To add a new document separator page, click the Add button and type the name of the section. Clicking the Print button, we end up with something like this. The page contains simple text that is recognized by EDC using OCR, and that will be applied as the name of the section. This page is not included as an image within the document. Note that these pages can be reused. In contrast, image separator pages are file-specific and are printed through the File module. From the File menu, select Print Image Separator Pages. This is typically used if you are scanning files that have already been indexed in the system. The files may be barcoded, in which case you can use a wedge scanner to scan the file barcode. If we do not have barcoded files that we can scan, we will select the file by entering the customer key and then selecting the files. Here I will add the files based on a history search, identifying the files that were added in pre-add today. However, in your case, you may wish to carefully consider what search will get you the list of files that you wish to print. Notice that the result of my search included 2 files that I do not wish to print. I will remove these from the list, and I probably should have used a different search to create this list. Pressing the OK button to send the job to the printer, I end up with pages that look like this. The file information is useful for helping you to insert the image separator page in front of the correct file contents. You can configure your image scanning software to recognize the large barcode and separate the document at this point, creating a PDF file with the correct name for importing into EDC. At this point, we will take a quick digression to set your computer up to import PDF documents for the first time. This is only necessary once on each workstation. We will start by right-clicking on the EDCRC shortcut and following it to the bin directory. Here we will find a file called EDCView, which we will copy over onto our local computer. We will create a shortcut and view its properties so that we can add the command line parameter install = yes. Right-click on the shortcut, and if the option is available, run it as administrator. Otherwise, just run it normally. Once this has been completed, you should be ready to import PDF files. As previously mentioned, images are associated to files. We can import images one at a time if we wish through the File module of EDC by selecting Images from the File menu. The first time you use a new scanner on a workstation, you will have to select the scanner. Menu or click the Scan button. If we know that the image does not contain separator pages for named page ranges, we will click No to this so that the import runs a little bit faster. Next, we see our scanner's Twain interface. Here I'm just going to adjust the zoom on the image so that it fits within the page. And notice how the sections have been named per the separator pages that we used, and we can switch to a different section by selecting it from the index. To rename our named page ranges, select Documents from the Edit menu. Here we can simply type a new description. On clicking Save, the system warns that images will become permanent. It is best to do any editing to the images before we save them. There is an option to remove individual images, such as image separator pages that were missed. However, once we have saved the image, this button is no longer available. If we need to make changes to an image once it has been saved, we will export it from the imaging module, and then we will have to go in Box and File Maintenance module, delete all the images in the file, and then re-import it. Note that we will have to reapply any document separator pages. This option permits us to delete all of the images associated to a file. Now let's run a batch import. From the File menu of the Box and File Maintenance module, select Import Images. Navigate to the folder containing our images and double-click it to select it, or click on OK. For PDF documents being imported, select the color format to use. Note that color images can become quite large, and indicate whether to run OCR to recognize image separator pages. The most efficient way to get large amounts of data into the system is by importing it. We will just touch on the basics here as they apply to working with images, since we have a series of video tutorials on this topic available through YouTube. As a starting point, EDC requires a spreadsheet in CSV or XLS format. Note that these can often be produced by image processing softwares capable of performing zone OCR. This might just be a starting point. You may then go in and perform quality control on the data and fill in additional fields. An import description file tells the system which spreadsheet to import and what to do with each column of data. The first time you create an import, you will probably do this using the wizard. The import description file can be saved from this and then reused for subsequent imports. This is important because it will help you to keep your imports systematic and consistent. Next, we will take a look at how we can automate the import of images and data by using command line parameters. Command line parameters modify how a program functions by providing it with additional information about what you want to do. You can create a new shortcut for yourself by copying and adding an existing one. Then, right-click on the shortcut and view its properties. That brings us to this window here, where we will type in the additional values. To make a shortcut that will automatically import images for us, we can add the command line parameter import image folder equals, followed by the path to our image folder. There is an optional parameter, PDF color conversion, which can be set to BW for black and white, gray, or color. If this is left blank, it will default to black and white. Once we have saved these changes, if we double-click on the icon, all of the properly named image files in the image import folder will be uploaded to the corresponding file without opening the interface. Files that are imported are renamed with the extension .imported to prevent them from accidentally being imported twice. To create a shortcut that will import data, we will use the command line parameter import DESC file. To use this option, we must specify two files. The first of these files is the import description file that will be used by EDC to know what to import and how. The second file is a text file that will be used to receive any messages produced by the import. It is good practice to review this each time you run an import. Configuration files provide EDC with configuration information, such as where to find the database. It may be necessary to specify one of these as well, using the parameter cfg file equals. With these modifications, our shortcut will now run a predetermined data import without opening the EDC interface. We can automate workflow even further by stringing together a series of such commands in batch files. This is an advanced topic, but it is worth exploring if you're doing large projects with a lot of repetition. Now let's look at the more basic topic of imaging on demand. We will start by examining what is different about imaging on demand delivery types. Then we will see the small differences between fulfilling regular orders and imaging on demand orders. Finally, we will take a look at what is different from the customer's perspective. From the Accounting tab, open the Delivery Type module. The defining characteristic of an imaging delivery type is that it has a courier method of imaging. The price code that you select for the price code field will be applied once per page imaged on the delivery. As with standard delivery types, the trip charge is applied once for each delivery. The fuel surcharge and return price code will not be applied. The imaging delivery method can be combined with different ship modes, including regular and by time or rush. Before any delivery type can be used, we must associate it to the accounts that need it. The authorized user will need to have access to a web license that includes the imaging module. The user will also have to have access to the imaging delivery types, either through their user group or through additional delivery types. Now let's look at what is special about how imaging orders are fulfilled. Notice how only file-related options are available to be placed on an order. If you wish to image an entire box, it would be necessary to add a dummy file. This is the only real difference at the ordering stage. The next difference happens during delivery creation. Because these deliveries are not going onto delivery routes, the delivery slips will print out even if the Print Delivery Slip checkbox is not selected. To perform an Imaging on Demand delivery, we will go to the Orders tab and click on the Imaging on Demand module. EDC prompts us to select a delivery. We can do this by typing the delivery number and pressing Enter, or by using a wedge scanner to scan the barcode on the delivery slip. Next, scan the barcode of the first file that you wish to image. If necessary, we could type the number under the barcode, but it would be much easier to just scan this using a USB wedge scanner. The imaging interface appears. You may either scan an image directly into EDC or import a previously scanned image. Either way, the result will be the same. To charge for preparation time, click the Add Labor button. If you wish, you may select or type notes explaining the charges. These will appear on the Delivery Summary invoice attachment. You can define these delivery notes through the System Information module on the Edit menu. Use the options on the Edit menu or an external image processing software to do quality control on the images before saving them, as once saved they will become permanent. Once we have saved the changes, EDC will prompt us to scan the next file on the delivery. If this was the last one, we will press Cancel. EDC asks us whether the delivery has been completely scanned. If we click Yes, an email will automatically be sent to the authorized user who requested the order. To help them view their scanned images, the email includes a link to your web page and the RC number of the imaged file. Your customer can simply log into ActiveWeb, select the file RC number search index, then type in the RC number from the email they received. They can then view their images and work with them in all the ways that we described earlier. As one last point, let's discuss how EDC bills for the storage of images. EDC is hard-coded to use the ISTR price code for this purpose. The unit of this price code is megabytes per year. Therefore, make sure that the price you enter is an annual rate. Note that if you also provide electronic document storage, this too will be included in the amount. Therefore, you may wish to change the description of this price code from image storage to electronic storage. This concludes our tour of the basics of hosting images in EDC. I hope that you found it useful.